Alright, this is Andrew with Joda Home Inspections. We're doing a sewer scope today here in Sandy. Today is July 15th, 2025. And we have the camera pushed out about 118 feet to the city connection. Now we're going to pull it back and record it and see what we find. We're at 8359 South Fayeway Drive. That's the city line that you're seeing on the screen now, and this first connection point is called the nose on. That's where it goes from your lateral line into the main city line. Looks like a good connection there. Looks like clay pipe from what I can tell so far, which is pretty common for the age. Not seeing any standing water yet, which is good. That indicates that you have proper grade so far. You never want to see standing water. That indicates that it's not sloped the way that it should be. Little tiny offset where you can see the edge of the pipe. And you don't want offsets that are too bad because waste can get stuck and that can create blockage where it could then back up towards the house. That was a pretty small one. This is cast iron, and it looks like that cast iron section has slipped, drops down quite a bit. Little offset on that side, but the more concerning part is how much it drops right here. Trying to flash my light to see if I can see that any better. It's probably a clean out, so out in the yard you'll have an access point. That's what that is, but that lower section of cast iron shouldn't be that low. It should be lined up a little better. If it continues to move, that could cause a blockage. Water could potentially get through that joint right there and cause it to continue to slip. Not ideal. Looks like water's getting through it and waste is getting through it okay today, but it's not ideal, and it could be a spot that needs to be repaired in the future. I would recommend the insurance on this line, not because of that, just in general. I would have recommended the insurance on this line. That would help offset the cost if or when there's a bigger issue. Even if you have roots and you have a backup, they could come help with that. My camera head has a little something on it. It's a little bit fuzzy. Several offsets, but they're all pretty small. Now we're transitioning, it looks like, to cast iron. Cast iron gets really rough and rusty. I would recommend having that cleaned and then looked at again. When you clean it, it makes it thin, so if you clean it too much or too aggressively, you can eventually cut through the pipes. You can reline cast iron. It's a little cheaper than digging it up, and this is under the house, and so it's harder to get to, and so relining it is a good option, but the other option is to dig it up and replace it when it needs to be this one looks like it has good grade, from what I can tell. And so hopefully you could clean it or reline it without having to dig it up. Now we're just coming up the stack. Weakest link I would say is that cast iron. I'd recommend getting that cleaned now and then having it looked at again. You could put coat it where they use a chain to clean it and it cuts off all that rust and makes it smoother, less likely to catch debris, which could cause a blockage, but eventually it will need to be replaced. I would recommend the insurance. You can get home serve, that's real popular here, but home serve doesn't cover what's under the house. And so it's helpful if you have an issue outside, but not if you have an issue with that cast iron where it's under your house. I think it would probably cover that cast iron fitting that has fallen, which is good, but I don't think it would cover any of the cast iron under the actual slab of the basement. I'm going to end this recording now.